Talibans who there's other group of Talibans who midway through said we don't want to be with the let's say with the bad Talibans. We just want to exist. So they left Afghanistan and came over to Pakistan. So it's very complicated. You can't even pinpoint who is Taliban, because all of them they can just say we are from Afghanistan, and they would still might be in like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, they might have been in that military group.
So from what you're saying, it sounds like there's still quite a strong section of country who are happy to live by Islamic law.
They are.
And so the government needs to recognise that regardless of how the Western world may want them to be.
No, so at the moment, as things stand, they've got a whole country. Afghanistan is now ruled by Taliban, and they've said that they are going to make the rules which they think should be, and that's when the Western media started sort of kicking that they're going to the women's rights won't be secure, the children's rights won't be secure. But then at the end they said, well, we'll have to just let them do what they're doing. So again, at the moment we've got a whole country run by Talibans, which we don't know, good Talibans, bad Talibans, or whatever. I think the only thing is the outcome is going to be what happens. It's just a wait and watch game. That's why everyone wants to start on a good note with them. China has started making a move because China needs them.
Natural resources.
Yeah, natural resources. We need them because a lot of
lots of natural resources.
Yeah. So, and then as a labor, there are really strong labor as well. So we've got loads of Afghani people coming over to Pakistan. They are working in the more sort of manual work.
The Afghan is their mix of Mongolian and like
it's sort of a descent
or Hannibal, like lots of different races.
I think it's
because
just
they're not like I'm looking at you. You got dark skin, dark hair, dark eyes. You can get green eyes.
Yes. Oh yeah. So that's
mix.
And I think purely because that region, again, because of the resources, has always been a place of interest for a lot of people. So like in the park, because then we've got loads of people traveling, coming, settling. So I think the same thing has happened with Afghanistan as well. So, but I think, they do come from the Mongolian background, and they're previously Persian used to come here as well. So it's just a mix of loads of things. But I think there are good people. They're really good people, because the people I've met in Pakistan, Islamabad, they've got loads of Afghani there. They're really nice people. They're very family oriented. They care. They look after each other. But I think they've got a wrong representation. Probably that's what's happening.
Well, the media want to sell newspapers and stuff, so they do try to make anything negative 10 or 100 times.
Because that's what sells the news.
You're a doctor.
Yeah.
You come from a middle class family.
Yeah, middle class. Yep.
Yeah. So, what's your parents do? Are they in the medical industry?
No. So my mum is. I think she's been a housewife, but she's spent all her life trying to teach us. And then my dad, he used to work. He was a telecom engineer. So, but now he's retired. So, but they made sure that all of us are professionals. So my family, everyone's just engineers, doctors, and we've got an architect. And we are working in 4 different countries at the moment. And my parents still live back in Pakistan, so I go and visit them. But yeah.
That's good. And what's life like for you growing up in Pakistan?
Again, it's I just sum it up. I think this is a universal thing, but if you sum it up, if you don't have money, any part of the world is not good. But if you've got money, any part of the world can be worth living. So if you are well supported in Pakistan, the life in Pakistan is luxurious. But if you're struggling with money, like in UK as well, if you're struggling with money, then that's it. But our lives, my father lived abroad for 10 years and we were studying, so that was the main way of supporting our education at that point. Then he moved back, and then we completed but then once you graduate from Pakistan, then your professional life comes at a standstill. You've got, I think, the maximum salary that you can get is probably £600 a month. Yeah, and that's when after you've had your.
But in fairness,
yeah,
that £600 a month would probably carry you a lot further than.
No. So the inflation at the moment, again. So the things with the third world countries is that yes, relatively, if I'm converting pounds into rupees, I would be like, everything is so cheap there. But when you earning in PKR, which is Pakistani rupee, then supporting a living there becomes a task, especially if you've got family.
Okay, I see that.
So usually the well-thriving families are either landlords who have got like quite inherited a lot of property and they can sell that off and they can support their living, or if you are a businessman.
What's life like as a lady, as a female? Do you need to have an escort a lot of the time in the culture? Like you don't.
Yeah, so basically my parents, I think they've spoiled us, but they are very open-minded. My parental side, we've been third generation, we are very highly educated. My uncle, he went to America back in 50s and 60s to do his PhD. So we come from a background where being a female is not, it's not looked down upon. You can do whatever you want to, you can study. But overall, as a culture, yes, you have to have an escort. It's not a must do, but it's just for your own safety, to be honest. It's wiser, yes.
To walk down the street.
Yeah. I think it's not about. I think we get mixed up in that. It's like, oh, do you actually need it? It's not that we actually have to. It's just that purely out of safety purpose that we have to.
So you'll see other women walking around.
Yeah. That's very common. So you go to school and you go to your college by yourself, or you go with a driver, but the thing is that you can't. Public transport is not ideal. It's very well established here, but public transport in Pakistan is like, you get all these weirdos and pervs on the, and then there's no, I think it's not a very secure way to travel.
You don't have women buses only?
Oh no, we don't. No.
Because some
section, we have got section. Sorry, yeah. So it's the front part is.
Get a British, like in Brazil, you've got women carriages only.
Yeah. Okay.
I know in Dubai on the train.
Yeah, they do that. Yeah. I think they're trying to now establish that, but again, because that a lot of women don't now, things are changing and they are working and they're out and about. But I think 10 years ago, not a lot of women were working, so they thought it was not a good investment. I think so personally, but now there are like women-only police stations, and I've seen that being established. So hopefully, yes. But yeah, even now, like when I was there, I do drive around by myself, but it's wiser if, like, especially evening times or night times, to have, brother driving you or dad driving you. So.
Okay. And what's the situation with weapons? Is it a country where people, like some countries, it's like America, for instance, where people can just have their guns?
Yeah.
Is it like that? So it's not, or is it like Britain where no one should have a gun unless you're a policeman?
I think you can have a gun with a license, but I think maybe it's just purely the people I've been, I grew up with, or I've seen them. I haven't seen a lot of people with guns, but when you go more toward the northern part, it's like it's a proper show. You take it around. But but I think in Pakistan you do. In our, like, around the capital, you are, if they find you to have a weapon, they would ask you about the license, and it can get they can take it away if they don't find it. But you can get a weapon there. It's not that difficult.
Would you go back there to live?
Well, that was the debate even. So for last 3 years, the debate has been for me to go back because my parents are still there, and my 2 siblings are still there. So I think I've got the British citizenship now, so which obviously came like a month ago. So I need to still attend the ceremony. But I think long term, it's always a difficult thing. So this UK is my professional life and my all hard work of my, let's say, mid-20s to late 20s. And Pakistan is where I grew up, so I still can't decide.
You're in your late 20s now?
Oh, I'm in my 30s now.
Oh, in your 30s?
Yeah. I've turned 33 this year.
Okay. You're holding off on the marriage thing, isn't it? Your parents, your mum must be giving you pressure.
Oh my God. This is like, I think the only thing that I'm running away from is that I'm probably not going to Pakistan because they're going to question it.
Yeah.
But I think it's just such
But you said you got a partner.
Yeah.
Is he from Pakistan?
Yeah, he's from Pakistan.
So you're okay then?
Yeah,
do
but
you do that sect thing? What do you caste or sect?
Oh no, so we don't, like from my family we don't, but I've got friends who belong to the families where they won't let you marry out of the family, so you have to do it. But my parents are really chill about it. They're like, just get married to someone.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So your dad's time in America or granddad's time in America has set a standard, set a precedent.
Sorry, what?
Your granddad's father's time in America has set a standard, a precedent of understanding.
Yeah, no, I think it's just the priority. So again, the only reason why I've said is like we've got 3 generations of people who are educated, is that the education has been the prime goal for all of us, and establishing yourself. I did not want, when I was graduating, I did not want to be a doctor who's working just round the corner in Pakistan with no name or no training. So I wanted to do something. That's why I came all the way here by myself. So I think that has been the main goal for all of us. The having a partner, having a family, yes, it's good, but I think once you've established yourself, because then there's a responsibility on you for the next generation. And let's suppose if I am struggling, and I'm not saying obviously this is just my own personal opinion, that if I'm struggling, then starting a family, it's just going to be unfair the next family that you're having. So I think like you can do the best you can, and then obviously things can change very quickly and rapidly, and you might be broke in a split second. But I think it's just being a bit well prepared.
Yeah. But you're the oldest of 3.
No, I'm the 3rd.
You're the 3rd.
Oh, we're 6 siblings.
6?
Yeah, we're 6 siblings. Yes.
Okay.
I'm third in the list.
And you've got 2 younger sisters.
We've got 3 younger than me, which are 2 brothers and 1 sister, and 2 older than me, 1 sister and 1 brother.
That's interesting. Now, talking about the doctor, becoming a doctor, when did you decide you wanted to be a doctor?
Right. It's right. 2 things which happen in Pakistan is that education is your survival. Okay, you have to get a degree that helps you survive in that economy as well as the society. Now, it's a norm that being a doctor is ideal for girls, that you get first of all you're respectable, your job is respectable, and again this is just awful, but this is how it is that you get good proposals if you're a doctor. So that's why every parent want their girls to be doctor.
Did you want to be a doctor?
No, so then we come to my family. So my family, we don't have a doctor in the family. So when I was young, my parents wanted, my mom's dream was all the girls should be doctor, just in her own head. It's not purely for the proposal bit, but it was just like it's a secure lifestyle. When I did my let's say we call it intermediate, so let's call it uni. or then I scored well. And at that point, my options were what I want to do. And then I think what I really wanted to do was, okay, at that point I would say I got into medical school. Let's just say that. I studied hard, I was a married student, I got into med school, so it was easier for me. So I didn't have to choose between, if I don't get into medical school, what I'm going to do next. But looking back, so when I came here, and obviously life got difficult, and I was like, I really questioned my becoming a doctor. But then in between I took breaks, and I had
life get difficult?
It's a difficult job. The job is really difficult. So I thought you study and that's the end of it. It's not. So you get really bad working hours. You get stressful. It gets stressful every day. The more senior you become, the more responsibility. You're playing with a human life, and then the rules are strict. So again, it's not that you do something on purpose. Like you're driving, you don't want to crash into anything, but if you do, the consequences are really quite significant. And again, it's a human nature and a potential of human error. So, and then living away from family and all of those things. So I questioned it as like, do I really want to be, did I want to be a doctor? But then I'd had a gap year back in 2019. But then I tried to look into other things. I did nothing fancy. I wasn't interested by anything, and I really wanted to get back to my doctor job. So that made me realize I really wanted to be a doctor. It's just the stress was getting me, which comes with it, which is part of the job. But even this time around, I was there for 2.5 months, and my parents were like, do something else. And I just said, I can't do anything else. I've got one trade, and this is what I like doing. So I would rather just work here. So that's why I'm back to basically work here, is just do that. And then I think what I really want to do in future is take over the skill to Pakistan.
And build your own hospital.
Well,
if that's three doctors in the family, all women.
Yeah.
You can start a women's clinic.
Yeah, why not? But then there's like loads of doctors and loads of hospitals. It's a money-making thing in Pakistan. That's what I think. But still puts me off.
Yeah, well, if you're not about the money, then that will manifest.
Yeah, I think so. Even when I went there this time, and I said to my mother, it's like, I don't want to use Pakistan as my source of income, because that's unfair. That's just so unfair, because the people there are so poor, and you can't ask them to pay. Let's say, how much would they pay?
Unless you have a charity.
£10 for each consultation.
Yeah, but my question would, do they need to pay for a consultation?
Yeah, they need to.
Why?
Because we've got a government system like NHS, because that was built by the British when they were in Pakistan.
You got NHS there?
Well, it's not the NHS, it's like a similar system made by British people. We're still carrying that on. So we do have allied hospitals, such as like your NHS hospitals here, which are big, quite massive hospitals. We don't have resources there. The doctors are not trained. We don't have equipment. I did my 1 year of housemanship there, and I realized at that point, if I want to be a good doctor, I need to get out of here. So you don't have any resources. We had patients come in, and we would ask them to go buy a bandage, and bring it back so we can do your bandage, because we don't have bandages in the hospital.
But wait a minute, your country's a manufacturing. They got manufacturing. They do agriculture.
Oh, we do everything. It's a very resourceful.
Yeah. So all you do as a hospital, you get them to supply you bandages, and then you can sell them. Well, I suppose you're coming to the same thing, to sell them to the customers.
Yeah.
You can sell them to the customers cheap.
We had so many, let's say, bosses of the hospitals suspended, arrested, because they sold the equipment into the black market, and they sold the medicines. They sold whatever the supply was from the government, so that it could be sold back, obviously, to the patients later on.
So that's really foul when you think of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's not that we were left with no system. We do have a very good system. We have got medical colleges. with the allied hospitals, we do have the facility for training, but it's just that it's not fair for the patient. We don't have that kind of care, and I think.
Go on, and you're saying about £600 a month.
Yeah.
So that's probably why they do it, but they want to live. But then they probably compare themselves to people over here, because a lot of countries do that.
Oh yeah.
And I always say you shouldn't.
I think, well, I've got this rule now established, well, not now, but like when I moved into this country, is that you live in that country, and that country is a separate thing, and that the other country is a separate thing. You can't compare. You can't. You can in terms of, let's say, standards, because we are taught international medicine when we are in Pakistan, but we can't practice the international medicine because we don't have the resources. I have seen patients turned away saying that we don't have a CT scanner, so we can't scan you. If you want to get scanned, you have to go to a private scanner, pay like, let's say how much would they, we recently paid for our mother's MRI, so probably £100. And these are really old people, they barely have anything to eat, so they would just let the person die. They would be like, we can't afford the CT scanner, so might as well just do it.
Yeah, we rest our hands and our God.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, again, it's just you can't provide it, you can't make the ends meet. So that's what I observed when I went back to Pakistan back in 2019, and we went around to the hospitals for one reason or the other. I had like family members who had to go to the doctors, and that's when I started looking into things. Is that every single doctor consultation costs you £10 if you go private. You can't go government because there's no one sitting in government hospitals, and the investigations are roughly £100, the blood test and the x-rays and all of those things. So anyone from below middle class, even sometimes middle class, you can't afford it. And I think if I think I can probably live on that money, taking it from poor, I don't think so I can do that. So here it's a justified system. Here we all pay taxes. It's a government-led system. Our salaries come from government. So we're not taking advantage of anyone's vulnerability. But there we are. We are like, you would see how people unnecessary x-rays purely because it makes me more money.
Yeah. I saw that when I used to live in Kenya.
Okay. Yeah.
And I saw it disgusting the way they.
Yeah.
And the way they were. I don't know how you can be a doctor, let alone a human being, and send a woman out with her baby because she ain't got the money.
Yeah, you do a cesarean in a normal delivery purely because that makes you more money.
Yeah.
And so I think I do not like the ethical values there, but one of my friends has said me a really good thing is that you can't clean the pond unless you step into it. So
I like that.
yeah, see, so I was like,
That saying at times, you can't clean the pond unless you step into it.
so, and I was like, oh, do you know what? I can't be bothered. And it's like, if you can't be bothered, the system is always going to be the same. So, well, I think it's one person cannot change it, but one person can make a tiny effort. So that's what my aim is. I really want to be that person to be able to make a tiny bit of a change. But it's easier said than done, I think.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. So what does the future hold for you overall then? Have you made a firm decision?
In terms of
Life.
I recently have completed the training here, so I think good few years working here, gaining more experience, trying to share and sort of, I think I want to just keep it between England and Pakistan, so probably try to do that. And I think if I can get alive out of all of this, I plan next then.
What would be your advice to somebody who's coming from Pakistan to live in London to do the same thing that you had done?
I would. It's an easier pathway. Because I've done it I came here in 2013. Now after almost a year, 10 years, 8 years, I can say it's easier because the craft is valued here. But if you come from a background where your degree is not recognized, or let's say then it's a difficult path. But I think I would say just this helps. You can't pour from an empty cup. So if you're stable, if you make sure that you get stabilized financially, you might be able to help people, change lives.
Well, thanks a lot for that. And you've been a great guest.
Although I was very sleepy.
No, but don't worry, you've managed in, and we wish you well.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. But it's been a pleasure.